What gang, Jackpot coming at you. It's Tuesday morning, real early, getting at it. And before I get on the subject of today's video, yesterday morning, news started breaking about an incident on Sunday night at the University of Virginia. 3 football players gunned down and killed by a former player who hadn't been on the team in several years. Just a totally tragic situation. And these guys, we watch them every Saturday. We pour our heart, mind, and souls into this stuff, but we kind of, I guess, don't really think about the fact that they're real people with real problems that live real lives. And it just, I mean, really scary to think that something like that could happen. Thoughts and prayers go out with those kids' families, man, and that team. How do you handle something like that? I mean, how do you, I don't know. And football takes a back burner to anything when that happens. But, I mean, just, I don't know. I mean, if you're the coach there, what do you do? I mean, what do you say, to the rest of the players? And they're playing a game this weekend. And if you're the opposing coach, how do you handle that? I mean, it's just, it's crazy. But thoughts and prayers to those folks. Certainly going to be a tough road ahead up there at the University of Virginia, no doubt. But getting into the subject of today's video, Saturday night in Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, the South Carolina Gamecocks will play host to the Tennessee Volunteers. Right now, South Carolina is actually catching 21.5 at home against Tennessee. Tennessee has just been, looking lights out this year amongst most of this competition in the SEC. Just run through it pretty roughshod. Only bump up, of course, a little over a week ago on the road at Georgia. They got totally shut down, lost 27-13. Here they come in as a 21-point favorite. They won against Mizzou, which was last Saturday. That final score in that game was 66-24. And actually, Mizzou was hanging around in that game for a while. I mean, at halftime, it wasn't a tight ball game. And I don't know that anybody ever thought it was really in doubt. Tennessee seemed to always be one step ahead there in the first half. But Mizzou was throwing some haymakers, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, defensively, they just weren't able to stop what Tennessee was doing, and they get thoroughly embarrassed by the Vols for a second year in a row. Now, we're talking about this one and just talking about it from a betting perspective here. The Gamecocks coming in with a 6-4 record on Saturday afternoon / evening. Went down to Florida and were thoroughly embarrassed by the Florida Gators. Final score 38-6. South Carolina let the Florida rushing attack go for over 300 yards against them. 85 of that did come in one big chunk play, but I mean, it is part of the rushing total. Just an embarrassing performance by that squad in really all facets of the game, of course, except for the special teams, where they scored their only points on a fake punt. And Florida, I mean, make no mistake about it, Florida's defense is not good. They were coming in ranked near the bottom of the SEC in most statistical categories. So that should have been a matchup of it should have been two more evenly matched teams as they were on paper. I mean, it didn't play out like that on the field. And South Carolina, with the second-year coach Shane Beamer, gets kind of embarrassed by a guy who was in his first year at Florida. That was one of the people that was on the short list for the South Carolina job when it came open after Will Muschamp's firing. Now, South Carolina decided to go a different route and picked up Shane Beamer. But that's just not a good look at all for that team. And on the flip side, you have Tennessee, who has, with a second-year head coach, is so far ahead of South Carolina, as one Uncle Lou would say, the Gamecocks can't see them with a telescope. And if you're a South Carolina fan, it's kind of embarrassing because these programs were both kind of mired in mediocrity just a few short years ago, just a couple of years ago, really. And Tennessee has just, despite NCAA allegations, despite losing a ton of players, transfer portal and attrition, when Josh Heupel took over, they've really come into their own there. That style of offense and a defense this year, which is much improved. It's much improved over what it was last year. Just taking a look at this, just breaking this old thing-a-lang down on paper. Tennessee's offense, the number one offense overall in the country. South Carolina's defense, number 77. Tennessee passing offense, number 2 pass offense in the country, averaging about 350 yards a game. South Carolina's pass defense is actually ranked number 29th in the country, averaging 194 giving up a game. Now, that statistic to Carolina Jackpot is skewed just a little bit because you played some teams such as a Kentucky who didn't throw the ball very well against you, and it really wasn't a lot that South Carolina did. It was Kentucky's just inability to throw the ball in that game. Texas A&M, another terrible throwing team, and then actually Florida could not throw the ball against South Carolina. Number one, because they didn't need to, because their running game was doing all the damage that they needed to do. And number two, Anthony Richardson is just not a quarterback who's going to throw the ball around a whole heck of a lot. Rush defense-wise, South Carolina is 113th in the country. That's poverty level and has to be worse than the SEC. It has to be. If anybody's any worse, I don't know who it would be. Maybe Vanderbilt's down there pretty low, but Tennessee's rush offense, 28th in the country, about 196 yards a game. So they're rushing at a pretty good clip here. So just looking at that, one would think that Tennessee should be able to destroy South Carolina through the air and on the ground, because I think the defensive pass numbers for South Carolina are skewed. I don't really think they're the 29th best pass defense in the country. I think they're probably somewhere in the 70s if you really didn't look at it on paper and you kind of took out some of the variables that I was just talking about. I don't think they're very good on that side of the ball either. That's just Carolina Jackpot's 2 cents about two teams I'm looking at from a neutral point of view. Tennessee defensively, number 85 in the country. South Carolina, number 92. Again, Tennessee defense has been widely regarded as being awful, but it's better than South Carolina's. Now, Tennessee's pass defense, number 124 in the country. Woo. So, it's there. I mean, it's there for someone to take advantage of. However, their rushing defense is number 11 in the country, only giving up 104 yards a game. Just really odd statistic to me. I don't really get that one. Passing wise, South Carolina, number 69 in the country, and rushing, they're number 97 in the country, rushing, which is sad because South Carolina does have a kid who at times has looked like the best back in the state, Marshawn Lloyd. Now, he's missed the last 2 games with a deep thigh bruise, a contusion of sorts. Don't really know a lot about deep thigh bruises and how long they take to heal, but I mean, I've had a bruise before and it went away after about a week. So if it's deep thigh, I guess it takes a little longer. I'm not really sure. South Carolina in the games in the SEC this year that they have won, which is 3 of them. They've beaten Kentucky on the road, they've beaten Vanderbilt on the road, and they beat Texas A&M at home. In all 3 of those wins, they've covered the spread. And their 4 losses, which were Arkansas on the road, Georgia at home, Missouri at home, and then Florida on the road, South Carolina has failed to cover the spread in those games. So just looking at that one, I mean, obviously on money line, anybody in their right mind is going to take Tennessee, right? So one would think that they're going to cover the number, because that's just the way things have been trending this year. And if it's me, and it's my expert pick there, which I'm not an expert, but if I were an expert and I was making my pick, I would take Tennessee to cover the number here. Yes, it's a home game for South Carolina. It's a nighttime home game. They normally play pretty well in the nighttime home games. They normally have a big crowd there. This game has been it's announced as a sellout. However, the Missouri game at South Carolina was announced as being sellout as well. And I, from just a viewer's perspective, could see that it was not a sellout. I mean, there were tons of empty seats there. Those seats may have been sold, but no one was attending. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me the way that some of that stuff works. I think some folks just publish, or I think some ticket offices, athletic departments give out phony numbers. I really do, because there's no way that, how can it be a sellout if there's entire rows of empty bleachers? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it's supposed to be a sellout there. Of course, there will be a lot of Tennessee fans in attendance. I myself personally have went to about 4 South Carolina versus Tennessee games at Williams-Brice Stadium, and there was a large contingent of Tennessee Vol fans there every time, and probably on about 2 of those occasions, Tennessee had a team that was pretty bad. That still brought a lot of fans. I've never been to a game at Williams-Brice where Tennessee has brought in a team with a record like this. So, I would think that they'll have probably 25% of the crowd there. I mean, it may be a creamsicle orange takeover. Just as an outsider looking in, what is there to play for at this point for South Carolina? Well, there's a lot to play for. If you're Shane Beamer, I think at this point, I think you've reached like a crossroads in your career as a head coach, an early crossroads, which you're going to face challenges all the time. I mean, I think you're facing like a really big challenge here right now, personnel-wise, that if you don't make the right decision, it's going to cost you in the long run heavily. The South Carolina offense it's pretty much been a wasted season offensively in South Carolina. And if you want to look at those 2 units, the offensive unit and the defensive unit, there's more talent, just from an eye test standpoint, over on the offensive side of the ball than there is on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball has a couple of 5-stars on the defensive line that really haven't played like it. They really haven't played like 5-stars. They've shown some flashes, but consistently, in an every game perspective, have not lived up to billing. You've got some talent on the offensive side of the football. A lot of it came from the transfer portal. You had a really good season or a really good off season in the transfer portal, but it doesn't seem like that it's really been taken advantage of at all. Spencer Rattler, as a quarterback for South Carolina, just looks lost. Not saying he's not a team player. And you know, at the game Saturday with the fumble and that, where you had a 410-pound defensive lineman for Florida rumbling with the football. I mean, Spencer Rattler was the one who tackled that guy. I mean, he's put his body on the line. So obviously, I mean, he's a team player. But he just looks confused. I think the offensive style South Carolina's running does not suit him very well. This pro-style attack. I mean, this is not an NFL training camp. Okay, it's a college football program, and it's about winning games. Right now, they're not doing it. Jaheim Bell, who South Carolina's put in there at running back the past couple of weeks, not out of necessity. I don't know. Your number 2 running back, Christian Bill Smith, was injured and couldn't play against Florida. So I understand maybe you put this guy in there to mix things up a little bit, but using him as your primary running back, I can't fathom that you've got some guys on the bench there that actually play the running back position, that they're not able at this point in their careers to come in and give you some kind of quality reps in a game at the running back position. And now nothing against Jaheim Bell. This guy's a great athlete, just not being used right at all. When you see him in the throw game, when you see him in the vertical passing game, he gets in space and he's able to make some plays. But as a running back, he looks slow, and I'm not throwing shade at the guy and saying he's a slow athlete. I'm not saying that he moves slow or anything like that. He looked, when he comes out of the box, I mean, just looks slow. I mean, he can't get to the first level quick enough. I think that Jaheim Bell, when he gets to that second level, can really turn it on and make some plays happen. But he can't get to that second level. Well, it's too slow getting to the first level because he's not a running back. He doesn't have that early explosiveness. That's just my 2 cents and just what I see. That's what the eye test shows Carolina Jackpot and why this is failing. And South Carolina, much to my chagrin, because on Saturday afternoon, I really thought they would come out there and open it up against Florida. I thought they'd open the playbook up, much like they did the first couple of series against Vanderbilt, and they worked. Everybody said, "Well, it's Vanderbilt." Well, Vanderbilt's defense was bad. Statistically, Florida's defense was also bad statistically. So why would we not go in there and attack in much the same manner against them? I don't know. Maybe it's the defensive scheme they play. Maybe it's the different looks they play. Now this is where it gets a little hairy for me, because I don't know every single formation. I don't know what you would do out of every situation, every look the defense gives you. But I mean, whatever everybody else has done against them all year long has worked, because they were in the bottom of the SEC in defense. So you tell me. I don't know what the answer is there. Defensively, I think South Carolina just continues to get. They can't stop the run. That's everybody knows that. Whether it's just a lack of talent, just being soft, being out of position. I'm really not sure. But it's been a problem it was a problem when Will Muschamp was in Columbia, and it's still a problem. And we're also facing, to that point, South Carolina's facing a lot of the same problems on the offensive side of the football that you saw when Will Muschamp was in Columbia. Never could get a coordinator that seemed to really get things rolling, even though there seemed to be talent on the side of the ball. You remember you had Debo Samuel at one point in time. You had Jake Bentley, who was a talented quarterback, made a lot of bad decisions. I mean, in some ways, it kind of reminded me of a Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler looks a little bit more lost than what Jake Bentley did. Jake Bentley just made a lot of mistakes. But there's always been that question of, we're blaming this coordinator. I haven't been a coordinator at South Carolina, that an offensive coordinator that I personally liked there since G.A. Mangus was there. That's been over 10 years ago. And so it's been a long time since they've been really effective on that side of the football. So you have to wonder at some point, is it a talent thing, or is it just stupid bad luck, giving the worst coordinators that can possibly grace the college football field? I don't know, but what they got right now, I can definitely tell you that's a coordinator problem. It's an entire offensive staff issue. So, if I'm Shane Beamer, certainly maybe not right now, because you're still trying to finish the season out. I'm letting that entire staff go at the end of the season and starting over. It's what you're going to have to do. That's what you have to do as a leader. You have to rebuild if you want things to be successful. Sometimes, if what you're doing is not working, you just scrap it and you start over. I can't fathom it to think that Pete Lembo, special teams coordinator for South Carolina, would be a better offensive coordinator than what they've got right now. I mean, he's been a head coach. I really don't understand it from that standpoint, but they're going to have to do something to fix their program right now. And this game they're going into on Saturday, they're going into this game. It should be with house money, because you're already bowl eligible, right? That's the goal, right? The goal is to be bowl eligible. That's what I've been told by a lot of the South Carolina Gamecock fans in the comment section when I was lamenting about their play. Hey, we're bowl eligible. Just stop. Half the teams in Power 5 become bowl eligible. It's not special. Unless you're reaching that pinnacle of, I think, getting to those next level games where you're either at or maybe like one step below a New Year's Six bowl. Making a bowl is not special. Making a bowl is just not that big of an achievement anymore. So, house money. Throw everything at them at the kitchen sink. That's what I'm doing if I'm Shane Beamer. But do you have that much to throw at? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it this year. It's been a lost season. So I don't really see a lot of positives going into this game. I don't think South Carolina covers the spread. I think they're going to get blown out. Most of the public money is coming in on Tennessee. Normally you want to fade the public. I say fade the public. But in this case, I really don't know. See, a lot of public money came in on Tennessee in that Georgia game. So Las Vegas made a lot of money off that. They've already made a lot of money off the Vols and them losing that game. So I don't know. I just don't know. I think that things are just set up and designed for Tennessee to be in the playoffs. Because they want a rematch with Georgia. That's what they want. They want a rematch with Georgia. I think a lot of people want to see a rematch, a 1-4 playoff rematch, Tennessee versus Georgia. Because Tennessee, the Tennessee man thinks they can win it. They really think that they have what it takes to beat Georgia. I don't know what they can deduce from that bloodletting that happened in Athens with the score. The final score was 27-13. It really wasn't that close. I don't know what they think that they saw that lends any credence to they're going to be able to beat Georgia on a neutral field, but that's what they think. You know, they're sitting here telling you that we're just a couple of overthrows by Hendon Hooker away from winning that ball game. Get out of town. Georgia took their foot off the gas in the second half. They only scored 3 points in the second half. These people are delusional. They really are. It's almost like, I know they do watch football, but it's almost, when you hear them talk and type things in comment sections in social media, it's like they don't watch football. There's one Tennessee idiot over on Twitter that has been looking for angles for 2 weeks as to why Tennessee really should have beaten Georgia 2 Saturdays ago. Just accept it, move on, you lost. But I happen to think I think they're probably going to backdoor their way into the playoffs, because I don't think that Tennessee, I think that it's going to be made sure that TCU does not make it into the playoffs. Either, I don't think they're going to, I think they stand a good chance. They're 2 road games in a row. They could stand a chance here against Baylor of dropping this game on the road. However, what I saw from Baylor last Saturday night really didn't impress me too much. So I'm not sure. I mean, is TCU a team of destiny? Maybe they are. But if they don't win out and they don't win the Big 12 championship, they're not going to make it, period. Because nobody believes in them. They're going to have to be the little engine that could. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. If they don't lose against Baylor, I have a feeling they'll lose the Big 12 championship game against whoever that might end up being. In most likelihood, I think it might end up being Texas again. It's of the teams that, because Baylor was in that mix, so I don't think Baylor's really in that mix again. It's going to be between Texas and Kansas State, really. It's who they end up playing in that Big 12 championship game, and I have a feeling that they're going to drop it to one of those two. So, South Carolina playing with house money Saturday night, but I don't think that I don't think Shane Beamer has the coaching staff. I don't think they have the innovative play calling that they're going to need to be able to quote unquote throw everything but the kitchen sink at Tennessee. And I think that they drop this ball game by at least 4 to 5 scores. I could see Tennessee winning the game. I could see them winning the game 63-14. And I'm not trolling. I'm not trying to be ugly, but I could see that 63-14. 63-17, something like that. I don't think South Carolina scores over 20 points because they're just there's been nothing to show me that they're capable of doing that. I mean, they couldn't even muster an offensive score, not even a field goal. They couldn't muster an offensive score against statistically one of the worst defenses in the SEC. So I don't think that they're going to be able to muster up anything against a defense that everybody thinks is really bad, but if you look at it statistically, it's pretty good when you factor in the run and throw game numbers together. So that's just where I see that one playing out. This has been a 30-minute video about one game, but I had a lot to say about it, and I hope that you value my opinion there. Please, if you're new around here, stay true around here, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and share this video. Share it out on Twitter. I can't share it out on Twitter right now myself. The Carolina Jackpot channel is locked. I think it's on lockdown for another 5 days. So I can't share it out, but you certainly can. Share it on Twitter. Share it on instant messengers. Share it on your your Instagram or whatnot. Share it to a college football board that you like to watch. I look at external stuff on these YouTube videos I put out from a YouTube analytics perspective, and one of my videos had gotten a lot of views externally, and it'll actually tell you from like top to bottom externally where those views are coming from, and some of them were coming from a website on3.com. So I took a look at that, and that's a college football website there with different message boards for each team as well. So it's definitely getting shared around a little bit. I enjoy that. I take a good sense of pride in folks that actually, whether I think I'm just being a fool and they're sharing it around just for something to laugh at, or someone actually thinks that something I'm saying is actually holds some salt and has a little bit of meaning. They're sharing it around that way. So I'll see you guys later. Don't forget, I think there's some football games tonight as well, some action. I'll definitely be tuning into those. And don't forget the live show tomorrow night, 9 p.m. here on the channel. I'll see you guys later. Peace, and I'm out.